Welcome back, community, to another Keeping It Real with Dr. Anita podcast. I am your host, Dr. Anita Polite Wilson, C-Suite Trusted Advisor, Board Director, and Diversity, Inclusion, and Belonging Strategy Consultant, helping members of the C-Suite and their teams reframe diversity conversations from difficult to different. We are back with our third and our last real conversation from the C-Suite with Ms. Shawn Smith. She's the founder and CEO of Shawn Smith Communications, and she joins us with more than 20 years of experience serving in senior communications roles with global brands, including the Walt Disney Company and Warner Brothers. She also provides integrated communication services to a diverse range of clients, from corporate to emerging brands, authors, and entrepreneurs. Shawn, thank you so much for coming back. This has been a great series of conversations.
Thank you, Dr. Anita. Thank you so much for having me. This has been amazing.
It's been a fun way to kick off the year. We started our first conversation talking about how you approach a new year. And we both agree that setting intentions versus resolutions is a more natural, organic, comfortable, and probably achievable way to do things. And then on our second conversation, we talked about your entrepreneurial journey and where it began. First with a Black communications firm, then to a majority communications firm. We discovered that PWI stands for predominantly white institutions, which I didn't know, but it kind of made sense. And then HBCUs, historically Black colleges and universities, and the fact that at an HBCU, it's still a time of transition for young adults. It's an incubator. It's a sense of belonging and kind of protection before they step out into the real world. And then we talked about the difference in the workplace, how you felt a sense of belonging in one place and not necessarily in another place, because at Tobin and Associates, there was a shorthand because everybody there was a person of color. So you didn't have to have preambles and preface things that you were going to say or do because they already got it, versus going to another organization where that handy shorthand wasn't there. So what I'd like to explore in this episode is this. What insights can you share about creating a mindset reset that allows us to thrive in an organization where that shorthand doesn't automatically exist?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, communications is different when you're talking to, like we said, someone that is from your culture. You have that understanding, that shorthand, whereas other people you may not have that with. So a couple of things. It takes more time, maybe, to explain certain things to certain people. And more time, more care. But I think you have to give people the opportunity to learn more about you. And you have to ask them questions too about their family, their culture. One of the things that I like to do with colleagues, especially around the holidays, because everybody celebrates holidays differently, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, well, how do you celebrate the new year? Or what kind of foods do you make? Or, does your mom make around this time of year? Like asking questions, I think it's really important. I find that even in a networking environment, I am an introvert by nature. But asking people questions kind of takes the pressure off me as an introvert. Yeah. But I'm also, I'm learning about them. And again, listening for those places where we have commonality. And, once you hear that thing, like, oh yeah, I like to do this too, or I watch this TV show too, or that was my experience, in this environment too, then you can build from there. So I think being open and sharing your experiences, asking lots of questions, and then looking for those commonalities.
I agree with you. Asking questions is the way to go. I often talk about an acronym that I created, which is ACT, approaching others with an open heart, which means whatever preconceived notions you have about people, set that aside so that you can have an open heart, connecting to understand and just listen and get it. Not so much so that people can understand you, but so that you can understand them and then find that commonality. And then tapping into diversity by being culturally curious, not just about individuals, but about a people group or a subculture within the larger organizational framework. So all of your points I get, and they're very well taken. And as an introvert myself, and I know a lot of people probably wouldn't believe that, but I am introverted. I am animated about my work because I love what I do. But at the end of the day, after I've poured myself out, I just need to like go home and
Yeah.
sit in the dark and not think. But as an introvert, I find that asking people questions works for me too, because it really is a way to hear and listen and then find that connection so that, to your point, you could say, oh, we've got this in common. And it just takes the pressure off, and it makes it easier to develop that shorthand that might not come because you have the same cultural background. And to your point earlier, it may take some extra time to explain things to people. Community, don't walk away thinking that we're trying to down anybody else. We're just saying we got to provide context. If we don't know something about anything, we need context around it so that we can then be able to relate better. So I love all the points that you're making. When you think about explaining people and providing context, where do you typically start? Or is it really just, it depends on the situation for you?
Um, I typically will start with really my family because I spend so much time with them
Mm-hmm.
and I love them so much. And I think that that's something that everyone understands,
Mm-hmm.
right? So even if it's your chosen family, not
Mm-hmm.
maybe your biological family, I think people understand that family aspect and dynamics. And so I tend to start there. And it really like humanizes everyone
Mm-hmm.
to know, to talk about, what I did, like being a proud auntie, or or my mother saying something funny to me or
Mm-hmm.
doing something funny. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just something I feel like everybody can kind of relate to.
Yeah.
And so I typically will start there when I'm, looking to make that connection with someone and really get to, build that rapport with them.
Mm-hmm. Can you give us 3 techniques that you recommend the most to your clients in terms of presenting their voice in a way that's authentic, in a way that will get results? And what I mean by that is sometimes when we use shorthand, not everybody gets it, but we're being authentic. But then to do corporate speak, everybody gets it, but we don't feel like we're being authentic. So how do we merge the two to make sure that we can be authentic in a way that everybody gets it?
Yeah, that's a good question because there's definitely a time in my life and in my career where I thought I had to like emulate what being corporate was or looked like.
Right.
And so I wasn't being my authentic self.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I wasn't performing at my best because I wasn't being my authentic self, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that that's so important. And I really appreciate younger generations
Mm-hmm.
who have let go of what it's supposed to look like in favor of being more of their authentic self. I think that's something that I've learned from younger generations because I still, would say that there's like a balance to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being professional, being corporate, and then being your authentic self.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that there's only one of you,
Mm-hmm.
and you are going to add more value to your organization being exactly who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to a group of college students recently, and there was an international student. I believe she was from Japan, and she was saying that she was like, how do I succeed as a communications professional when it's in the US when I'm not from here? And I said, but that's your superpower, that
Mm-hmm.
you're not from here. So, all the things that you have and you know and understand from your culture, infuse that into your work, infuse that into your conversation, because that's what you're bringing to this. That is not something that you need to figure out how to get rid of. No, you need to bring that into your work. And so I think that that's true for all of us. Though there are things that are unique to us and unique to our culture that we need to bring into conversations, into our organizations. And honestly, that's going to make that's the value that you add.
I agree. What I just wrote down was, you being you is your superpower. And I love that. I think that is a great way to send off our community to fearlessly forge ahead in 2024. And also, community, I want you to think about this. I want you to, right now, if you got a pen and paper, and I know you do because you've been taking notes, right? I want you to write down the word charisma. Write down the word charisma. Last year, I believe the word Rizz, was like the word of the year, and it's short for charisma. That's young people speak, right? My understanding is specifically is about having Rizz in terms of being attractions when you're dating, if I'm not mistaken. But then they kind of broaden the definition to just generally talk about charisma. So if you've written down the word charisma, community, I want you to think about this. Oprah Winfrey's got charisma. John F. Kennedy had charisma. Mother Teresa had charisma. Gandhi had charisma. 4 different people, but they all built a community. And it was based on who they were and what their message was. So as you look at the word charisma, I want you to cross out the letter I. And the reason for this exercise is if you take yourself out of charisma, you really don't have anything left. So back to Shawn's point about you being you is your superpower as you forge into 2024. Remember, always show up as your authentic self. And that's my wish for you in 2024. Shawn Smith, founder and CEO of Shawn Smith Communications. Thank you so much for helping us kick off 2024 with a mindset reset. So appreciate having you with us, Shawn.
Thank you so much. I truly enjoyed it.
Thank you. It was our pleasure. Community, I really want you to go back and listen to this series of conversations, real conversations from the C-suite with Ms. Shawn Smith. It will start your year right. Go to the website, dranita.com. Click on the link in the center at the top that says Keeping It Real Podcast. While you're there, remember to check out my resources and services and get in the flow, follow, like, and overshare any of my previous podcasts to help you reframe diversity conversations from difficult to different. Share them with your network. Let's blow up my LinkedIn page in 2024, all right? Until next time, this is Dr. Anita reminding you to stay blessed and keep it real.